All right, so here's the deal. This video is going to break down the complete organic traffic system that I use for growing OnlyFans models extremely fast on social media, right? And it's not by guessing and it's not by luck, but by using data, patterns, and repetition that I've gained over the last 4 years of scaling my own agency from $0 to $1 million a month, and working with thousands of other OFM agencies and their models, and just collecting the data on all of these agencies, right? And so this is literally the culmination of 4 years of thousands and thousands of data points across what works and what doesn't. And I call this the viral content system, okay? Super simple. Now, the core idea of this system is to stop trying to come up with new ideas every single week. Like, seriously, stop, right? The biggest mistake that I see creators making and agencies making is that they think that more creativity equals more growth, when it doesn't, okay? Virality is not random. It is a science, it is a system. And when a video blows up and goes viral, that's a data signal, okay? It's basically proof that people want more of that exact type of content. And so, like, I've never understood when a creator gets a video that gets 30 million views and they're like, ooh, yippee, we got 30 million views. Like, now on to the next video. Let's hope another one gets 30 million views. Instead of just like milking that one video until it just has diminishing returns. Like, you literally have a video that does 30 mil and then you just keep rinsing it and repeating it until, you know, you start to get 20 million, 10 million, 2 million, 5 million, 1 million, 500K, and then you start getting 20,000 wherever. Like, once it stops working and you've exhausted it, then you can move on. And I'm gonna get into the overarching strategy of how to do that, but like I said, when a video blows up, that is a data signal. Basically proof that people want more of that exact type of content. If you look at guys like Mr. Beast or Ashton Hall, right, as a perfect example, they do not reinvent themselves every week. I honestly challenge you right now to go to Ashton Hall's Instagram and just scroll through his reels, okay? Like, they find one format, maybe 2 or 3 formats as they get more and more data, and they find those formats that hit, and they just reskin it, right? Reskinning, by the way, just means making a new version of a video that already worked. And so maybe it's a different outfit, maybe it's a new angle, maybe it's a new caption, but it's the same core idea and core format. And so the goal isn't to make more new videos every week or every day or every month. It's to make more versions of the videos that already performed. So you have to, before you can do this, you have to know who you're working with. And this is why having a client avatar is arguably one of the most important things that you can do as an IFM agency, right? The biggest issue I see with a lot of the clients that we work with, and the biggest change we make, is literally they never have an offer and they don't have like an avatar. And so, like, one of the first changes we make the majority of the time for all the agencies we work with is like, right, we actually have to like define your avatar and your positioning and then build an offer around it, and then we can worry about the acquisition system. And that is literally how, you know, we're able to take agencies from 20K a month, 50K a month to multiple 6 figures a month most of the time within a couple months, or within a month, or sometimes even faster, because those are some of the biggest leverage points in an agency. Like, if you don't have a defined avatar, you don't have an offer, like, you're fucked, like literally fucked. But today is not about that, right? Today is about obviously content. So you need an avatar, you need to know who you're working with. So before you build a content plan, you need to know what type of creator you're actually dealing with, because not every creator is going to need the same system. So if we break it down like this, right, and this is non-binary, like it's not this specific date, like numbers, but if we just break it down like this for argument's sake, to keep it simple so you can understand, it'll sort of get my point across, right? So if we break it down, let's just say you have beginners that are like beginner models that are, let's just say, between 0 to 5,000 followers, right? You've got no data and there's no consistency. With them, you're just going to be testing what's already proven from other creators. If you're growing creators, let's just say you have growing creators and they between 10K to 50,000 followers, right? At that point, they probably had a few viral videos, and now it's all about reskinning those videos, and you know, that's pretty much where the majority of the focus is going to be. There's going to be other nuances, which we'll talk about, but the majority of the focus is going to be on reskinning those viral videos. Now, let's just say you've got established creators, you know, creators over 100,000 followers. They, at that point, scaling the brand. So you're focusing on creative evolution and long-term IP. Still, majority is going to be reskinning what works, just like Ash and Hall, Mr. Beast. That's the approach you're going to take. But at that point, we've already got probably 2 to 3, maybe 5 proven formats that we just constantly iterate on, and we never really have to do anything else, right? So that's that. And every creator as well also needs clear expectations, okay? So how many videos they post per day, how often do they shoot, and whether they actually follow the system. And so if they can't meet your standards, just don't work with them. It's as simple as that, right? And that's what I mean by having an avatar. You need standards, okay? Because systems only work with structure. And so you can't keep trying to make models that are lazy, that don't meet your standards, like go viral and get traffic, when they're just never gonna do it. That's a massive issue with a lot of agencies. They start to focus on black hat, or they start to get shiny object syndrome and distract themselves doing all these different things, threads and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, because like they can't stick to one system because it doesn't work for them, because they don't have the right creators, and so they just spread themselves too thin and start to do everything else, when they'd just be better off, like all they need to do realistically is just define their avatar, define their offer, and then like just filter for A-tier creators, and they'd be good. It'd be so much easier, so much more leverage, so much more profit, way leaner, and everything would be so much easier. Like, it's almost never a case of doing more, it's almost never a case of doing new stuff. It's always just a case of doing more. And so like, you never need, like I've literally helped so many agencies now scale to $1 million a month. Like, it's never a case of like, those agencies that do that, they're not doing Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and threads and then YouTube and then black, like they're just not. They're doing like Instagram and TikTok, and that's pretty much it, right? Because it's just super simple and it scales. But again, we're not gonna get into that in today's video, right? But at the end of the day, systems only work with structure, and you need an avatar. So if the creators don't meet your standards, you just don't work with them. Otherwise, this is not gonna work for you, right? So here's the easiest way to stay consistent without getting stuck in creative burnout. It's what I call the 70-20-10 rule, okay? So 70% of your videos, of your creators' videos, are gonna be reskinning the proven winners, the proven viral videos, okay? 20% is gonna be small tweaks on the outliers, on the good performers. And then 10% is gonna be brand new ideas to always keep it fresh. That way, 90% of your content is based on data instead of guessing and hoping that this new idea is going to work, right? And so it's how you stay creative and predictable at the same time. And so the key is, you don't determine what's quality. So if you're spending tons of time coming up with new ideas, finding new ideas, like thinking they're quality and they're going to go viral, that doesn't matter, because you don't determine what's quality, your audience does. And you only find out what your audience determines as quality when you do enough quantity. And so quantity actually is the filter for finding quality, right? And that's key. And then most of you that do end up making quality and get viral videos anyway, you just forget about it and move on, and you're on to the next idea, right? When you should be milking and reskinning that video. Real quick, I've got a free gift for you, and it's called the OFM Scaling Roadmap. And it's something that I've spent over 150 hours building, because I was sick of seeing agency owners get stuck at the same points, make the same mistakes, and not know why. And so what it does is it breaks down the journey of growing an OFM agency into 7 clear stages, from 0 to 500K plus per month. And it shows you what to focus on, what to ignore, and how to scale without burning out or blowing up the back end of your business. We cover all 8 business functions, from product, marketing, sales, IT, customer success, recruiting, HR, and finance, and what each one needs to look like at your current stage. So if you're stuck at 10K a month, 30K a month, 100K a month and beyond, this will tell you why and exactly what you need to do to graduate to the next level. It's totally free. Just click the first link below this YouTube video, answer a few questions so I can customize it for you, and I will send it right over. I also just want to say thank you. The DMs I get daily from people using the content, sharing wins, breakthroughs, clarity, it genuinely fires me up. And if you're watching still feeling stuck or confused, you are not alone. This roadmap is for you. I built what I wish I'd had when I started, and now it's yours. So how do you actually read the data, right? Before you start optimizing for the 70% of reskins, the 20% of small tweaks, and the 10% of brand new ideas, you need to start optimizing. You need, before you start optimizing, you need a baseline, right? You need your median average views. So the median just means your middle point, right? Your normal. So if most of your videos get around 10K views, that's your median, right? So we're not looking at averages, because averages get skewed by outliers that get 10 million, 20 million, maybe a million, wherever. So we just want to look at the median views, okay? And so now anything that does 3 to 5x your median is now classed as an outlier, meaning it performed way better than usual, meaning there's clear signal that, like, there's a sign that you should test new versions of it, right? Now, if someone does 10x or 20x or 30x or more, that is a viral video, right? Like that is something that you reskin that thing over and over and over and over again until it stops working, right? That's where 70% of your focus is. If it flops, then you forget it and move on. But the data decides, not your feelings, okay? So what is reskinning for real, right? Reskinning is how top creators grow without burning out. It's not copying, it's strategic replication. So here's how you do it, right? I'll give some examples of how you could think about reskinning a video. Change the outfit or the look, right? Switch the background or the location. Adjust the lighting or the framing. Change the caption. Keep the same hook, change the main clip. Keep the same clip, change the hook, right? Like this, change, like slightly tweak the ideas throughout the format, like slightly tweak the body and the hook, but this is the same format and concept. Like look at Ashton Hall for inspiration, right? He does it all the time. Best example, okay? You could re-edit it with faster cuts. You could, you know, fucking try speeding up the video. Like there's all these different ways that you can iterate, right? And every single version gives you a new chance of virality. So let's just say you've got a video that hits 30 mil. You might reskin that video 10 times, and one might get more than 30 mil, right? One might get 60 mil, one might get 10 mil, one might get 5 mil, one might get 1 mil, one might get 500K. And you just keep doing it until you see diminishing returns. And once they stop performing, eventually it'll probably face entropy. It could face entropy in a couple of weeks, in a couple of months, maybe a couple of years, right? Like Ashton Hall's still crushing with his format. And so you just keep doing it until it eventually flops. And even when it starts seeing diminishing returns, then you can start to make bigger changes, right? You can start to do more changes, but keeping the same core format, right? So again, every single new version gives you a new chance of virality. Just think of it like painting. That's the easiest analogy I can give you, right? Like you're not painting a new picture every time, you're repainting your best one with a new frame. So like for example, if you painted the Mona Lisa, you're gonna be changing the background of the Mona Lisa, right? You're gonna be changing her hair, keeping everything else the same. You might change her t-shirt and keep everything else the same, and so on and so forth, okay? You might change the frame of the picture, okay? So, that being said, this is where avatar comes in, because you can't do this and apply this unless you already have an ATM model that's already crushing, right? Like you need an ATM model to be able to do this, that already is willing to do content, you know, 3 to 6 times a day, bare minimum, like posts, like 3 to 6 posts per day on TikTok and Instagram, bare minimum. And she needs to be willing to, and she needs to already have some sort of proven content and data, whether you get her there or not. But if they do have zero viral content and it's a newer creator, and you have a creator that like nothing works yet, that's fine too. You just need to go through a different system, okay? And that is where you're going to be running them through the foundational vertical cycle, right? A vertical is just a type of content, right? Like a skit video, a Snapchat video, a dance trend, like wherever, right? Like those would be verticals, okay? This is a concept we created. And this is how you would do it, right? You would pick 3 proven verticals, 3 to 5 depending, but let's just keep it easy. Pick 3 verticals, right? Skits, for example, you know, talking head and like podcast vertical, right? Let's just say those 3, for example. You would collect 30 viral examples from each one, so 90 total examples. You would save them with links and captions in a Notion doc, for example, and then you'd have your creator remake all 90 over that 30-day period, and you'd be posting 3 times a day, bare minimum, okay? The more you post, the better data you get. The more quantity, the more quality you can define. So like if you can post 6 times a day, I'd advise it, but 3 times a day is minimum. If you don't have a creator that's willing to post 3 times a day consistently, you don't have an ATA creator, and getting them to 6 figures a month is going to be extremely difficult. And so you don't have a traffic or creator problem at that stage. You have an acquisition problem, you have an avatar problem, you have an offer problem, and you have a positioning problem. And so therefore you need to fix that, okay? Starting with the avatar, okay? And working upstream from there. So, again, this stage is about data generation. So finding what works, it's not about being original, okay? That's where most people go wrong. Now, once something starts to pop, then you can start reskinning it immediately. So if you have a creator with 0 viral content, you run the vertical play like I just explained, you get all that data from posting tons of quantity, 3 to 6 posts a day per platform, and then once stuff starts to pop, then you start reskinning it, and then you apply the 70-20-10 split, right? Now, the next thing is hooks, okay? Because hooks are the secret weapon. Like your hook, the first 3 seconds of your video, that is when people decide if they're staying or scrolling. Again, look at Ashton Hall as a perfect example. Amazing hooks, amazing content. There's a reason, like he didn't blow up by luck or accident. Like he is blowing up, still blowing up, and it's because he just has it down. Like he has this down, okay? And the hook is the first 3 seconds of the video. That is when people decide if they're staying or scrolling. So it's 80% of the battle, right? So you need to make a hook bank, and that is just a big list of your best hooks, right? 50 or more, and then organize them by emotion. So funny, shocking, curious, controversial, and so on, right? And if a hook works once, then just reuse it, okay? You can change the topic, but not the structure, and just reuse it. So for example, right, if you got a hook, and the hook is, I'm just going off the top of my head, like the hook is like, you won't believe what my brother said. Like, let's just say that works on a specific vertical, whether it's like a podcast vertical, for example. You might want to try, like, you won't believe what my girlfriend did in a skit or something, right? So it's the same feeling, but it's a new setup, okay? So that's that. Now, the next thing is you have to stay consistent, right? This system only works if you stay consistent. So they have to be an ATA creator, they have to fit your avatar, and they have to be willing to post 3 to 6 times a day, right? They don't have to be viral yet or have a crazy social media. Of course, it's going to be faster with those because you skip the quantity learning process because they would already have viral videos, and so you just immediately go to the 7, 20, 10. But if they don't have that, then again, you just like continue testing the verticals until you find something that works, and then apply the 70, 20, 10, right? So the system only works if the creators stay consistent. You can't post randomly and expect momentum, right? So for daily creators that are like constantly turning out 3 to 6 posts a day, you want to have a quick 15-minute call with them daily to look at the analytics and choose the 70%, the videos you're going to reskin tomorrow, the videos you're going to iterate on, and then the 10 new ideas that you're going to come up with. For weekly creators, right, where they bulk creating them per week, again, you're reviewing the results once a week, and then you're planning new versions of the reskins on the outliers, and the new ideas, right? So for example, if you're posting 42 times a week, like off the top of my head, 29 of them would be reskinning viral videos. So like you might only have 1 viral video for the week, and so you're just gonna try and come up with 29 reskins if you can. Now this will be different depending on how many actual viral videos you get and so on and so forth. You might have to slightly adjust the 70, 20, 10 split based on the stage of your creator, which we're not gonna get into today, but like you might have to do that, which you can kind of just figure that out on your own, right? But if you obviously get multiple viral videos, you can reskin a viral video 10 times, right? Or 20 times even. And so you just need to figure out a way to get 29 reskins per week. And then the other, I think like 8 would be reskinning outliers. So outliers just means like 3 to 5x your median, right? So they're not quite viral, but they're like 3 to 5x your median. And so like if your median is 10,000 views and you get a couple of videos that have like 30,000 or 40,000 or 50,000, they're performing like 3, 4, 5x better than your median views, which is signal that something worked, but it wasn't good enough for it to go viral. And so you want to focus 20% on reskinning those, because like you want to look at the data and the analytics. And for example, you'll be able to see on this video that performed 4 times better than your median, you can see on the retention chart, like, oh, the drop off was after the hook. So people retained because the hook was good, and then it just dropped off. So we need to tweak the body to make it more sticky. That's one way you can iterate, right? Another way could be, you could, change the, like for example, if you look at the analytics and the analytics are like, there's just immediate drop off and then people kind of retain, then it's like, okay, well, the hook clearly wasn't good enough, but the body was good because people who did pass the hook watch the rest of the video. So we just need to change the hook, right? And that would be how you spend 20% of your time reiterating on those winners. And again, it's not going to be 70, 20, 10 for every model, because it's going to depend on what stage they're at, how many viral videos they're getting, where they're at, and so on and so forth. So you're going to have to do that based on your model. And then 10% for the models that are going viral, that are getting multiple viral high performing videos, 10% is going to be new ideas. So if you're posting 42 times a week, 6 times a day, that's going to work out at around like 4 to 5 new ideas a week, right? And then you just recalculate your average every week, and that creates a feedback loop, and the data keeps teaching you what works next. So again, proof it works, right? Why the system works is because it's been done by me, right, in my agency, and all my models, and all our clients and their models, right? And the results that we get for our clients are insane, like literally insane. Like no one in this space gets results like we get for our clients, like simply because everything we do is data driven. Like it's not just, it's purely data driven and purely like boring systems implementation stuff. Like, it's just like, we know this works because we've got more data than anyone else because we actually track shit and just do this and it works. Like, it's literally just maths, like really is, it's just maths, right? And so like, for example, Ashton Hall as well, you could use him as a data point if you don't believe what I'm saying, right? Like, he found one format, morning routine videos, and rinsed it. And then he started weaving in some new ideas like the running concept, and that also blew up. And that's why the 10% of new ideas is really important, because you might find that Ashton Hall running video and then that's a new vertical and you can just keep reskinning that and blowing that up, right? And so like, Ashton Hall found that one format, which was the morning routine videos, and he remade it over 100 times, still doing it now, and built his whole brand around it, but was still experimenting with new video ideas, and through that found some other performing and then started doing the same thing there, right? And so it's not necessarily new ideas all the time, it's just consistent versions of a viral video, of a hit, right? And trial reels taught us that as well, right? Like, if you was in our Inner Circle when trial reels first came out, oh my god, everyone in our program made hundreds of thousands of dollars and got hundreds of millions of views, because literally, like, within the first week of trial reels coming out, I had found a way to just absolutely exploit the system, which you can't do anymore. I uploaded a YouTube video on it if you want to see what it was, but you can do, there's similar versions of it now that we're doing that's still absolutely crushing, but it's not as good as it was, because you could literally post 100 times a day and you could repost the same video. So like, let's just say you had a viral video, which I'm talking about now. Instead of even going through the effort of reskinning it, you could literally just directly repost it on trial reels 100 times a day and it would go viral pretty much every single time, right? So like, we had creators that already had hundreds of viral videos, and we was literally just posting every single day on trial reels the same videos, and they were just getting hundreds of millions of views. Some of our creators even hit 1 billion plus views and made hundreds of thousands of dollars like a month. Like, it was insane. And we obviously shared that the second they came up with all the agencies, and they also just printed. Like, we've got results from the agencies that went from, you know, getting a couple million views a month to 388 million views a month on a creator and 100 million views a month, all from just absolutely being in the know of systems like this. And so like, that's the key to being on the inside with all the data we've got, is like, you, like, when stuff like that does come out, which always happens, you always get like 4 or 5 things a year that are new that come out that's like, that's not new in the sense of like, well, we're going to do a complete new strategy, but things that, like, a feature comes out on Instagram and we just find out how to like massively exploit it straight away and go crazy. And that's the benefit of being where we've got all these agencies that are all big agencies, all doing over 6 figures a month, all coming together to make sort of a hive mind of like everything that's working. And it's just a killer, right? And so that was a bit of a tangent, but like, again, trial reels showed us that this concept works, and so now it's just about like doing it without the trial reels, right? Like, you can still do this on trial reels, but now it's just about like, again, if trial reels showed us that content is not about luck, right? Because if you've already got a video that performed viral, showing it to the exact new audience like trial reels does, reposting the same viral clip, just continuously goes viral, just shows us the virality isn't luck, and it's just signal replication. So across hundreds of OnlyFans creators we've tracked now, this, everything I'm talking about in this video, it works, right? The 70-20-10 method always beats random posting in views, in engagement, in new subscribers, in income, and so on and so forth, right? Now, when content stops working, because even the best formats eventually stop performing and face entropy, right? It means things naturally fade over time, right? That is what entropy is. And so here's how the cycle kind of goes, just to understand when stuff does eventually start working. And again, it could take a month, it could take 6 months, it could take a few years before this stuff starts working. But the cycle goes like this, right? You find a winning video, you reskin it, you milk it, you start to then watch it drop, right? And then you just replace it with the next winner. And that's why we always keep the 10% of the time for experiments, and it's how you stay ahead before things go stale. And bear in mind that 10% of experiments could be taking the winning video but reskinning it in a more heavy way. So like, you change a lot more to try and give that winning video a new cycle of life, right? And that's another way to think about it. So the only other thing I'll say is sort of like handling creator pushback, right? Firstly, if you have to handle creative pushback, like, you're likely just going after the wrong avatar and you got the wrong offer and you got the wrong positioning. But some creators will be like, oh, I don't want to post the same thing again and again, like my followers are going to notice. Here's the truth. Like 80 to 90% of your views come from new people every single time. That's the point of going viral. You're going to get shown to like 90% non-followers. So when you reskin a video, you're not annoying followers, you're reaching fresh audiences. And people forget. They're not going to know. They're just going to think it's the same video that's going to surface them again. And also it makes no fucking difference. Like if you care about what people think, you probably shouldn't be doing OnlyFans, right? So it's like, if you are getting creative pushback, which the only reason I say this is because, you know, after working with so many agencies, this comes up like every now and again. It's like, bro, we need to fix your avatar and your offer and your positioning, because like if you're working with the types of creators that are saying they don't want to post the same thing over and over again, like there's something wrong, right? You're working with the wrong creators. So reskinning isn't repeating, it's redistributing, right? So teach your creators that data beats emotion, right? So the final system, use the flywheel, the never-ending loop that builds growth. Post, right? Number one, post, right? Test proven content types. Number 2, measure, see what beats your average. Number 3, reskin, make more versions of those winners. Number 4, evolve, swap out what's old for what's new. Number 5, repeat, right? Keep at least 70% of your content focused on what's already working. That is how you turn chaos and having to come up with new ideas every week and putting yourself under all this pressure of coming up with new content, and which doesn't scale, by the way. Like, you just think how busy you are now having to come up with new content ideas and creating all these scripts and blah, blah, blah. How are you going to do that for 100 creators, bro? You can't, right? Like, you can't. And so this is how you scale, right? And so this is how you turn chaos into a predictable system, right? You turn guessing into precision, right? And instead of creators burning out and you burning out, you just go into steady, scalable growth. Now, if you want to get even more context about this system that we've talked about today, I would advise you to go and watch the YouTube video that's linked under this video. It is literally going to show you how we scaled a creator from 10K a month to 280K a month in 60 days, okay? Solely with organic content. So if you haven't seen that video yet, I would highly recommend going and watching that. And other than that, drop a subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment on what video you want to see next, and I will see you at the top.